you get cut off, call me back.
I will. Okay, we're going to start this off. This is Tracy Dean with Unsure 51, and we're going to have an interview today about the possibility of organ donations and how that could have changed the lives of the donors and actually the donors and the recipients. Sorry. But I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the Unsure 51 platform that we're trying to produce. I would like to do a long form live talk show, and at this point in time, we're just getting started in the basement or garage, like most have. Um, so, if you like the topics of paranormal, strange, weird, alien, men in black, time travel, or any of the other things that go in that genre, please keep an eye out for us and come back and see us as we go along. But for today, we have Stephen Michaels with us, who is a transplant recipient, and some strange things have happened to him, and I just thought you might want to hear what they were. So, Stephen, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so why don't you give us a little rundown of what's happened and how well, just tell us what happened.
Okay. You want me to start at the beginning, or where do you want me to start?
Sure, go ahead and start at the beginning. Tell us about the transplant a little and the strange things that have occurred during the transplant, following the transplant.
Okay. Okay. Well, this all started in December. Oh, thank you for having me on for the first thing. Let me say that your viewers, and hopefully there'll be some viewers watching. There's three viewers watching right now.
Well, thank you
Um,
for coming on, actually.
and that's fine. Um, this all started in December of 2004 when I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. My heart at the time was at a 20% ejection fraction, and I spent over 2 years trying to get better with drugs and that kind of stuff. And after after 2 years, my heart wasn't getting any better. It was getting worse actually, and it was January of 2007 when I was put back into the hospital. Another echocardiogram was done, which an echocardiogram is a sonogram of your heart, like women have when they're pregnant, they get a sonogram to show the baby.
Oh,
And
okay.
the echo is the sonogram for the heart. It shows you heart function, the blood flow, things like that. And when they did the in January when they did the echo, it was only at 10%, so it had gone down 10%. The normal person is 60 to 75% heart function,
Ooh,
and I was
so
at
you were
10.
diminished.
Very much so, to the point where I could not walk from one doorway to the other without stopping in the middle and resting. It was that literally that bad. My body was shutting down.
Severe then.
So, huh?
It was very severe then.
Yes, it was very severe, and I had gone through. I had had my talks with God, and they were mostly one-sided. Um,
Yeah, I have
it,
problems hearing him too.
do what?
I have problems hearing him too.
Yeah, well, I used a lot of four-letter words, and none of them were nice. Because I've tried to stay away from getting sick in my life, and I finally realized that it doesn't matter what you do or don't do. If you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. That's just life.
Very true.
So, in January of 2007, I was at 10%, and I was grappling with the idea that I wasn't going to last much longer. and I was 38 years old. So,
Young man.
yes, yeah, relatively young, surprisingly. Um, but so I was at 10%, and I went to a hospital, St. Luke's, and they put me on the transplant list, and they gave me an IV bag that went into my arm and fed heart strengthening drugs to my body. And in March of 2007, I was going in for a checkup, and a heart became available. While I was in the doctor's office getting checked up, a heart became available. So the next day, I went through the heart transplant and things like that. And the effects, the severity of going from heart failure to having a new heart were so dramatic. It was like there was a big light switch on the wall that said Stephen's problems. And before the transplant, that switch was on.
So you were reborn, essentially.
Basically, yes. And so after the transplant, it's like they took that big switch and just turned off all the problems. Because my body came back to life again, everything was good. It's a hard road. It really is a hard road. It takes a lot of discipline to manage, because you have to take the immunosuppressive drugs, and there's other things that happen along the line, blah, blah, blah. We won't go into that, because I could talk for an hour and a half and never go with the same subject twice.
So it's a rough road.
It's a very rough road, but it's a very rewarding road. And some strange things did immediately start happening after I went home. I was only in the hospital 10 days. That's the minimum they would let you, the minimum you had to stay before they would let you go home. So when I left the hospital, within a month, some weird things started happening.
Okay, so what weird things started happening after the transplant?
Well, the first thing that started happening was with everything I was doing with the cardiac rehab and the heart biopsies and all of that. When I was at home, my son and I first noticed it because our computers were side by side each other, but there was about a 10-foot space in between our computers, and there was a bookshelf in the middle. And one day I was just relaxing, and he was relaxing. He was playing a game, I was playing a game, and all of a sudden the book flew off a shelf.
That's dramatic.
It was a little weird. I thought maybe he bumped it, and I said, "Did you bump that shelf?" And he goes, "No." I'm like, "Okay." So I reached over, I picked up the book, I put it back on the shelf. Well, about 5 minutes later, that same book flew off the shelf again. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on here? And I asked him, I said, "Did you touch that book?" And he goes, "No." And I'm like, we must have a ghost. and it was just weird little things like that. And as we went on, that same book started flying off the shelf more and more and more. And we hadn't had a ghost before that in the house. The house was over 100 years old, but we had not had a ghost up until about a month after my transplant. And it's happened so many times that him and I would make a joke. We were like, "Okay, we know you're there. We know you're there," you know. And we weren't scared because it wasn't a poltergeist or anything like that. It wasn't, a harmful ghost or anything.
It didn't feel menacing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, and just playful-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And what happened after that, that we really solidified the fact that there was a ghost was my wife at the time. We had gone to bed, and our bedroom, you could see the hallway, between the bathroom and the dining room, the kids' room. And she had gone to bed, and I had laid down, and out of the corner of my left eye, I caught a shadow, and I looked towards that hallway entrance, and go from the bathroom across the hall into the dining room, near where that bookshelf was.
Okay, so hang on. Let's talk about the shadow. Was it a formed structure, or was it a dark mass, like a dark cloud, or what kind of did you see?
Well, I didn't. I mean, it happened so fast that all I saw was like a shadow go across, just like a dark black shadow. I don't think I didn't see any structure to it. I mean, it looked like a human, but when it goes that fast, you can't really see what's going on.
Right. And your brain's having problems you expected.
Right. Plus, I mean, I didn't expect it, and it happened so fast. I was like, what is that? And I thought it might have been one of the kids. And my wife at the time, she yelled and she says, "Hey, did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "What did you see?" She said, "I just saw a shadow cross from the bathroom to the dining room." And I said, "Yeah, me too." And she says, "One of the kids is up." And I'm like, I yelled out to the kids. I'm like, "Hey, who's up? Who's in the dining room?" And my daughter said, "Not me." And my son, he says, "I'm in bed." And so, we didn't get up or anything. We just let it go. And that incident like that happened more than once with the shadow coming across the doorway.
Did anyone other than your wife and you see it, or was it just to you two? Did one of the kids ever see it or make mention?
No, they did not.
Well, that's probably a good thing for children.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But we did still have the books flying off for about a year and a half.
Oh wow!
Yes, and it got to the point where we started calling it by name, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it was a very strange thing, and it wasn't a menacing type of spirit, but it was more like a comforting type.
Okay, so it didn't
being watched over.
It was just different, not good, not bad at this point, just different.
Right, but it was very comforting knowing that something or somebody was watching over us.
Oh, I would like that feeling, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
That in itself is kind of peculiar. Was there any other occurrences that happened following the procedure that you
transplant? My wife at the time, she was 80 something years old.